Okay, so I've started with a piece of watercolor paper, just cut to a regular card-based size, and I've taped it down with just some washi tape. I have then put a stencil over. I did this part off camera, and I've put over some embossing paste. I've waited for it to dry, and now I'm just going to watercolor over it, just with an oil paintbrush, some water, and these watercolors, the Gansai Tambi watercolors. They're awesome. I've got the 36 pack, but you can get really any. I'm going to go with sort of a red sort of technique. Now, one thing I didn't just do is I probably need to put water first all over my piece, just so it soaks up the water and blends the colours nicely. So I'll just go ahead and do that. Okay, so now my piece of watercolour paper is covered, ready to do some colouring. So I'm just going to start with this bright red and bring it in over the embossing paste and also onto just the watercolour paper there. Now you don't have to blend it as much as what I'm doing. The paper being wet should actually blend it, so that you don't have to do a lot of the work. So I'm just going to pick up maybe like a reddy orange colour and drag that in now. Just trying to create some texture to my background. I might drag in some lighter orangey red colour now. Now, as you do this, if you don't like how it's turning out, you can always add more colour to it. But I'll just see how I go for now. I just want to add in sort of some yellow here. Drag that in. I might come back in now and add some more of this pinky red colour just to add some more brightness to my card. Come in with the really orangey orange colour. It sounds a bit funny. Now, I don't know whether you might be able to see it on my card, but for some reason the stencil may have not been too clean when I did this with the embossing paste, so it's a little bit green there, but that doesn't matter because we can cover it up. We can cover it up later. And you won't even know it was there. So this is looking quite good. Once I finish doing this, I'll just zoom in on it for you so you can see it a bit better. But as the watercolour dries, it will just, give some added dimension to this. I'll just zoom in a little bit there for you so you can see how I'm going there. And I'll come back once that's dry. Okay, so I'm back and my piece of cardstock has dried and I'm thinking it's looking really pretty. So now I've got my my dies that go with this Lawn Fawn birthday tag set. So that's these ones, and I just store them on some magnetic paper just to keep them okay. So off camera I've punched out, using my Big Shot, a piece of watercolor paper just with that larger die there, and I've just got an older Stampin' Up! Border punch that's got the same sort of chevron pattern as our watercoloured piece, so I thought that would look quite nice. Now, silly me, I probably should have punched this first and then cut out the tag, but oh well, you get that sometimes, don't you? So I'm just going to put in the tag there, sort of shove it around so that I can push it in, and then I'm just going to stamp it, hopefully, if it holds still. So I'm just going to hold it down like that, so that my piece, I know, is touching the border part down here. So I've punched that, and that's looking really good. I'm just going to save those pieces over there for later. Now, to do this, you're supposed to line it up. So where do I want more? I probably want more down the bottom. So just going to punch it like that. Oh, that was perfect, wasn't it? I think I'll stop there. I'm going to punch too many, I think. Unless I just try one more. We'll just try. If it doesn't work, I can always punch it later. Yeah, it's not going to punch another one for me, I don't think. Maybe if I do this. Except, oh, I still like that. But if you don't like that, you could have left it where I had it the last time, but that's okay. So now when I put that on there, I'm thinking that looks quite cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build this up. So I'm going to pop this up onto some foam tape. Now I just use that the Scotch, or the 3M Scotch tape. Sorry, I've got a bit of a cold at the moment. I might need to cut that down a bit. So now the only reason that I'm watercolour for this tag is because this matches the same colour as the watercolour paper I just used on this watercoloured piece. Otherwise I wouldn't use it, as the watercolour paper I use is quite expensive. But you've got to have it matching, right? Seeing as I'm going to leave a border. Now I just try to get all the parts on my die cut piece so that they'll all be raised up. So for example, I don't want to miss, where is it, this part here, is if I miss that part, it's not going to pop up. So I'm just going to take all that tape off. Now you can use whatever you want. I just find it's easy to use my fingers just to get it off. Let's do that. Oops. Little pieces are a bit more tricky. So there, all my pieces are off. Now I think I'm going to want it, because there were some parts in this sort of area here that I was talking about before that kind of ended up a little bit blue for some reason from my stencil. I mustn't have cleaned it properly last time. So I am actually going to stick my tag somewhere down the bottom here. Just like that. Okay, so I've got my piece of card like this, and I am now going to add something to it because that's a bit boring as it is. So I'm just going to take that away for a minute and show you this stamp set. It's by Creator Smile Stamps and it's called Jungle Fever. Now I just love this stamp set. It's really cute, and I'm just going to use this little chameleon here. And the probably You Colour My World stamp. Okay, so off camera I stamped the chameleon. Sorry about my light, I'm just learning how to do these videos. So there's my chameleon. I stamped him in just black VersaFine, sorry, and put some clear embossing powder over the top, so it's a bit shiny, and then I just cut around it. And the paper that I used for that was from the Simon Says Stamp kit of papers, this one. So I'm going to put the little chameleon down the bottom here. But before I do that, I need to do my sentiment. So all I'm going to do is, again, use this one here, You Colour My World. Sometimes I find it strange. I'm in Australia, I don't know if you can tell by my accent, but with all these stamps, the wording and the spelling of it is American spelling. So I find it difficult sometimes because in Australia we spell colour C-O-L-O-U-R, and that's obviously not how this one is spelt, but that's okay, I get around it. So I'm just stamping it here with some VersaFine ink. I just find, oops, now that's okay. I don't know if you can see here, I've messed up. That's all right. With the clear stamps, you can just go directly back over and stamp it out. Now, what I should have done, really, because I've made a little bit of a mess of that, is I should have stamped that before I propped it up on the foam tape, which is why I didn't put this chameleon on there in the first place. But that's all right. You know, these things happen. So I'm just going to put on some foam tape onto my, oops, to my chameleon. You'll learn that I love dimension. So we'll just pop him up on these dots like so, and we'll pop that onto our card at the bottom here. Now I just need to do some finishing pieces on this card, really. Now I can never leave a critter like this without adding some gorgeous little goggly eyes. I don't know about you guys, but anyway, I'm going to choose quite a large one, just see what that looks like. I think that's probably a bit too big, so let's try a smaller one. That's probably better. Put my jar of goggly eyes up to the side, and I'll just use my Tombow Mono Motard glue and just add, mine's coming to the end, just add my eye on there with some of that, like that. Oops. And then I think I'll just add maybe some string up here, and then I'll just pop it onto my card base. Okay, to tie this all in, I've got some Lawn Fawn lawn trimmings. Can't remember what, Pink Lemonade, that's what this one's called. And it's got all the beautiful colours that are in my card, so we'll use that. I'm just going to fold it over a couple of times, and then I will thread it through this hole. Again, I probably should have done this before, but that's okay. We work these things out when we're crafting, don't we? And then I'm just going to cut that top piece. Oops, now I've moved my eye. And there's my finished card. Now I just glue that onto a card base and I'm done. Now to glue my pieces onto my card base, I just used some Tombow Mono multi glue. Gosh, that's a mouthful, isn't it? So just scribble on some of that. Mine's running out. And make sure I've got my card up the right way, because I've done that a few times where I've put it on the wrong way, and just glue it on. And there is my Do you know what? I could actually add maybe some sequins to this. I think it would look really cute. So I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, now I decided that my card wasn't finished, and I've now got my box of sequins here. A few of them are from Doodlebug, but quite a lot of them I've just gotten from some random scrapbooking stores here. So I'm just going to choose a couple of different ones. I quite like the idea of sticking some of these fluorescent ones on here. Just randomly. Now I use the Crystal FX Stampin' Up! Glue, which is basically the same as your, is that Ranger, the one that people most likely use, I think. So I just like to add my sequins in groups of 3, generally speaking, and I just use my tweezers to help me pick them up and put them down. Just put maybe a couple up here. Oops. Maybe just something like that. So I've still got my rule of 3, but I've separated them, if you can see that. Look, sometimes I use my tweezers, sometimes I use my fingers. Just depends how I'm feeling. Whoops. And I think now we're done. I think that's looking quite cute. I'd just like to take the time to say thank you for joining me for my very, very first video. I hope that I learn a lot along the way, and I hope that you enjoy my video. Thanks for joining me.